Hi, my name is Brandie Paterakis, and I'm the owner of Blue Bee Counseling Services. I'm a mother and wife who is passionate about life and has found joy in helping others improve their mental health. The goal of this podcast is not only to provide enriching entertainment, but to help others in their pathway to have a more fulfilling life. This in no way is a replacement for therapy. Follow us on this journey of mental health awareness. Blue Bee Counseling Services now presents this podcast, Therapist Table Talk. Hi, welcome to Therapist Table Talk. This is Brandie Paterakis, and I am a licensed clinical social worker. I also own Blue Bee Counseling Services, which I am super excited about. I love it. Today, we're here with a few of my friends. Would you start? Logan's been on before, so introduce yourself.
My name is Logan, and I'm at the BSW program at University of Utah right now. So studying this, not a professional yet, but I'm learning about it, and I love mental health and talking about it. So.
And she's here. She has a lot of interesting topics.
For sure.
We're going to really quiz her on. Just kidding. Yep. And
my name is Brooke Jensen, and I am a licensed clinical social worker as well. And I also... You want all of them?
Oh, yes, she's going to tell us all of her credentialing because it's amazing. And I'm very, very intrigued because... of course, as clinicians, we all want to have like titles and numbers and digits and all sorts of letters
after their names.
Their names. So she's going to tell us hers. Yes, I want all of them.
So I am a Master Therapeutic Recreation Specialist and Certified Therapeutic Recreation Specialist. So the letters after my name are LCSW, MTRS, CTRS.
That is fantastic.
Wow. Yeah.
It's awesome. I know. Someday, I hope to grow up to be just like you.
Oh, stop it.
I do. But until now, I have, and I'm not going to say just because it took me a long time to get there, but I do have an LCSW, which is awesome, and we're going to celebrate that. Anytime we celebrate anything, yay! It's great.
It took me a long time to get there as well.
I find this really funny because as I was reaching out to Brooke and Logan, I'm like, what is going to be our topic this week? And so we decided 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, was it a week ago?
I think it was a week ago.
It was a week ago that we were going to do seasonal depression, which is known by a whole bunch of different names. And it's funny because today, actually, last night, it snowed for the first time here in Utah, which is...
depressing.
I like to put it.
It means, like, there's a whole bunch of things that it means, right? Like, all of a sudden, like, it means it's final, I think, that winter is here. I feel like there's that final stamp.
No, it's Utah. Utah is a little bipolar.
That is probably true.
When it comes to weather.
We have had, like, weather issues even in July, so I can't say that it puts a stamp of approval of winter on it, but it kind of does since we're in October.
It makes it more real.
It does.
That's what it is. It makes it more real.
You can't pretend.
Like, no more pretending.
We can't pretend that it's not. Like, we might have one more week.
Not this week.
Did the groundhog come out again?
Cold.
Do they have something like that for winter? Like Groundhog Day, we get like...
No.
They should. Like maybe the... what is that? Snowman comes out to see us.
Yeah. I know. We need snow. That'd be exciting. Right?
The deers start coming down the mountain. That's what my husband would tell you. The elks start coming down the mountain, and that's when you know that it's like time for seasonal depression for a lot of people here in America and in the world. But let's talk about this. So, okay, couple of interesting information. We know at it as here in Utah as seasonal depression, but there is a lot of names and titles for the same thing. One of them is from the DSM diagnosis book, which we use as clinicians, which is awesome, and you're getting to know as well, which is seasonal affective disorder. And I find this really funny, and I think that it's okay that we laugh about hard things because that is what helps us get through hard things. And so let's laugh at the fact that it's called SAD, S-A-D, seasonal affective disorder, because that is funny.
That's funny, and you're really good at laughing at
depressing things.
I do. I love keeping my office like light and happy, and we have some sad things and we're able to get there, but if we can laugh through some of the hard things, I think that is so good. In fact, I think I learned this from my father, because my father was a fireman, and so he would come home, he was a fireman paramedic, and he would come home after having a really hard day of work, and he would see all sorts of terrible things, and he would say, like, he would start laughing and making jokes, and we're like, that is not funny. Like, what you went through and what you had to deal with today was not funny. And he's like, if I don't laugh at it, then I would cry. You know?
Both are important.
Yeah.
You need to have time to cry, and you need to have time to laugh. And sometimes you laugh, cry, and that's funny.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Wait, have you ever done that before?
Oh, yes.
Me too. Yeah. Logan?
Oh, yes.
Okay, laugh, cry is a new thing.
Steel Magnolias. Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
I have never gone from crying so hard to laughing so hard in my entire life.
There's another movie that I'm thinking of. It's Dinner with the Schmucks.
I've never seen that.
Terrible movie, don't watch it. It's awesome. But that's kind of the same instance. You laugh and laugh until you are crying hysterically because it's so flippin' funny. And then I looked in the movie theater, and me and Heath, my husband, are the only ones laughing so hard till tears are coming out of our eyes. And we're like, nobody else finds this movie funny.
That's
like,
embarrassing.
Nobody.
Yeah,
and so then...
embarrassing.
So then I get there, and I'm like, this is weird because... why did we must have just been a funny day, and all of a sudden, that is the funny thing, is we watched it again. Nope. Hysterical tears.
Oh, it was funny.
It was still funny.
Funny.
We must have had a really weird sense of humor. But let's get into this. Okay, so common names. Winter blues. It's kind of one of them. Mm-hmm. We also have SAD, or the seasonal affective disorder, which is actually the DSM diagnosis for it. And then seasonal depression. I also heard of another one. It was called like not winter blues. No, I can't remember. Do you have any other ones that you guys can think of? And there's crickets.
No.
Those are kind of the main ones. If I can think of it, I'll bring it up again. But there are a lot of symptoms that come with SAD. What do you think are, and then let's go into some statistics, but what do you think are the differences between like having the SAD or the SAD, the clinical diagnosis, versus like just having winter blues? Because they did state on there that...
On where?
Well, that's a really good thing. Actually, let's go into some statistics. Logan.
Yeah, well, which one are you looking for?
I think it's the one with the 2... Oh, it's the one with the 5%.
Oh, okay. Well, this is according to the Medline Plus, and it says seasonal affective disorder occurs in 0.5 to 3% of individuals in the general population, but then it affects 10 to 20% of people that already have a bipolar disorder or already have like the depression symptoms. Mm-hmm. And so... Yeah, is that what you're looking for?
That is what I'm looking for. Yep. And then it also said that 10%, like there's a difference because 0.5% or 0.2 or 2%, 0.5% or 2% have like the actual SAD or the SAD, where 10% might just have like a winter blues. And so I thought that was kind of interesting on that site that we were. You can like look it up and see for yourself. A lot of this is just kind of things we kind of roamed around, poked upon the internet. Feel free to do your own information and find out your own statistics on this. But those are just some things that we kind of went, whoa, that's interesting. Like, and I guess we all kind of know that it affects men and women differently, which is also very fun. So, and I guess let me just explain that. It affects women more than it does men. And it actually affects women over the age of 20 more than it does teenagers, which I thought was kind of interesting too. And maybe there's somebody going to be out there and be like, that is wrong. And here are the statistics from the statistical findings. Yes, please add those. We would love those. And that is great because we are all about understanding, all sorts of depressions a little bit better. And so, but let's go into, do you have any more of your statistics that you can share with us, Logan?
I mean, Hopkins Medicine states that women are affected more than men. And then it also states, without treatment, depression can last weeks, months, or years, but most people respond well to medication, therapy, or a combination of the two. So just to put it out there, if this is something that you're experiencing, that seasonal depression, that it's okay to get help, it's okay to seek that treatment. It does say in that Hopkins Medicine article that most people with clinical depression who seek treatment see improvement usually within weeks. So if this is something that you're experiencing or that you're feeling or a loved one, just recognizing that it's okay to get help. And
help is awesome.
Yeah, help is awesome.
We're awesome.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, choose for yourself, but we're kind of cool. So maybe you should give us a call and come and see us. I was actually going to think, I was like about to go like this and be like, maybe we should call someone. Yeah. Snow just fell down in Utah yesterday, and so maybe we need to reach out.
We have each other. other.
That is really true.
When you're a therapist and you have therapist friends, it's helpful.
It is. Yeah. Like, hey, I'm feeling blue. She's like, yeah, me too. I'm like, thanks for validating me.
I get it. I understand.
Yeah. I get it. I understand. That's true. Let's talk about some of the signs and symptoms, because I bet a lot of our viewers today or listeners are probably going, what is it that makes the difference between like seasonal depression or like winter blues versus like the actual clinical diagnosis? What do you guys think?
I've actually never really thought about the difference between winter blues and the actual diagnosis of seasonal affective disorder. Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting concept. I actually had a client that texted me this morning and said, do you have any openings today? And I happened to have a cancellation at 10, which was right before this. And so they came in and just were really emotional and overwhelmed. I usually see them on Tuesdays, and they were like, the thing is that like nothing really is even going on. Like nothing big has happened. I just am feeling really overwhelmed, and I'm sure that the weather did not help. And the fact that it snowed last night, and waking up to it being cold and dark, and all of these things, and they know that this is something that affects them when it starts getting darker and colder, and so that was something that we talked about today, and it's cool to have to work with clients that are aware enough. I've worked with this client for a while, who are aware enough to recognize that, like, hey, this is something that affects me. This thing that's external to me that I don't necessarily have control over. I wish I had control over the weather sometimes.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
It's a superpower.
Right, for sure. Is having an impact on me, and I can recognize that and acknowledge that, and I still feel this way. So what do we do?
Yeah. It's that radical acceptance, kind of, a little bit.
I'm terrible at that, but I preach it really well.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, and I find that is the key right there. I think you just hit it right on the nail, is like having the awakening that happens. And I talk a ton about, my clients are probably listening and they're like, oh yeah, here we go, Brandie. She's going to talk about the awakening, but it's when your eyes are open and you're aware. You're aware of how your body is feeling, the sensations that are happening, the things that are out of balance. When you're recognizing, like, for the last couple months, I haven't had a problem getting out of bed, but now all of a sudden it snows and I'm having a trouble getting out of bed. And so those are things that kind of hit it, don't they? Mm-hmm. When you're aware, and then it's kind of like, okay, well, now what do I want to do with it? Mm-hmm. And that's the part where my clients are like, ugh, I hate this part. Like, it's a sacrifice, right? Mm-hmm. Applying the sacrifice, and we know, like, what sacrifice means. It's not easy or okay or all right. It just is sometimes. And so,
yeah, I think we like to complain a lot, but we don't like to do anything about it. Like, I know that a lot with me. It's like, for the longest time I was having like really bad anxiety, and I just would complain about it all the time. My husband would complain about it to me, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, you need you need some help, because I'm sick of hearing about how like much anxiety you have. And that's the same thing. Like, we like to complain about things, but it's that hard part of actually getting the help and like actually taking that step of like,
I can't relate to that at all. Just kidding.
I just hear my laughing. It's because I felt the same way.
Right? Like, we have issues and we don't want to change them, right? But I mean, it's like, yeah, the recognizing, okay. Like, I think sometimes we recognize that we have that problem, but we don't want to, like,
Yeah, because
actually get the help. We don't like helping ourselves for some reason.
But even acknowledging that there is room, that there are things that we can do, right? Mm-hmm. And that we're not powerless, I think, can be hard.
That is true.
Because that requires work. And that awakening is hard. Coming out of denial.
Oh,
yes. It's real rough.
It is rough. Especially when you get the deer in the headlights from your clients. Like, those big, huge eyes. Like, I don't know if I can do that, Miss Brandie.
Yep.
Miss Brandie. I'm like, I get you. I know. It is difficult. So let's list down a couple of the symptoms to kind of watch for when you're feeling the winter blues and the sadness that can kind of come from SAD, or SAD, seasonal affective disorder, which I kind of like to tell my clients, it's based on functionality. Like, if you can function in daily life and you're feeling this maybe once in a while, then maybe you're more along the winter blues. But if you're finding that this is really affecting daily life and you're not really able to function quite like you would like to, like, such as getting out of bed in the morning, it's happening more than not, you're feeling like really, really a lack of motivation, irritability or anxiety, those kind of things can more lead into the SAD. So I'm just gonna list. Yeah, brain fog.
Having a hard time getting your brain focused and going and just dragging.
Oh, I hate that. It feels like 100 pounds of weights on you when you're like pulling yourself out of bed in the morning. It's rough. It's really rough. Well, I'm just gonna run down all of the things that you might be feeling here. So what they state on here is, here are the following most common symptoms of SAD. And I'm going to tell you, I have looked up a bunch of websites. I even checked out the DSM diagnosis, and we have come up with some of the top ones that we found on the internet, as well as the top ones that we have also found within our clients. So increased sleep of daytime drowsiness, loss of interest and pleasure in activities formerly enjoyed or feeling sad or sluggish, social withdrawal, and increased sensitivity to rejection. That's interesting. I did not think about that one, but I thought that was fascinating. Yeah. Irritability and anxiety, feelings of guilt and hopelessness, fatigue, low energy level, cabin fever. It's kind of like, I want to get out and do things, right?
But it's cold. But it's dark.
It's cold. And how I usually feel better is by running or doing something fun, and I don't get to go out and do those fun things outside because it's so cold. So cabin fever is good. This one is interesting. Decreased sex drive. I had no idea that would, I guess you kind of assume. That. Yeah, kind of agree with that one. Decreased ability to focus or concentrate, trouble thinking clearly, weight gain, increased appetite, probably goes along with the weight gain, and especially for sweets and carbohydrates, physical problems such as headaches, hormone change, or you just don't feel better until spring. Like the sun comes out and the flowers start popping their heads through the ground, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm feeling better now. Like if you're starting to know that, then that's kind of a good idea that maybe some things are really affecting you. So, and they get in the way of daily life, don't they?
Yep.
Which is really hard. How do you feel like seasonal depression or the winter blues or even seasonal affective disorder kind of plays a part in like some of the complications that get in the way of daily life?
Well, I think a lot of times that like if you're struggling with seasonal affective disorder, there's just kind of a tendency to withdraw and like hibernate. And so your relationships suffer, your self-esteem suffers because you're not interacting and connecting with people, which, we're wired for connection. That's what we need. That's a lot of times what brings purpose and joy in our lives is our connections with other people. And so, when we have that tendency to withdraw and isolate and kind of turn inward, then that can affect all of those things. It can affect our jobs. It can affect, how we interact with our coworkers or the customers that we might work with every day. And it just affects all aspects of our lives. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially our spouses or our children. You know what they say about mothers who are irritable in the family, the whole family's irritable. So that could be
if mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Yeah, that is so true. It is so true. And so, and how easily we all can mimic other people's emotions. And so definitely I found with even my own children, like when I say something, that it can be a little bit negative or maybe not as nice, or I'm just feeling a little bit like sluggish and yucky. And then my kids come home and they're like, can you help me do homework? And by the way, it's 10:30 at night. I'm like, what the? No! Go to bed! No! And then they're like, you don't ever help me. And the world is bad and terrible and everything is bad. And by the way, Sally the other day, like, oh my gosh. All right.
Like, all of it. Just needs the one bond.
Like, oh, geez, it does. It does. And so I think that is so interesting. One thing that I found that was kind of fascinating, and I don't know if you've seen this in your practice, but their thinking is just not as sharp. And I thought that is fascinating to think, like, don't make no big decisions in the fall. Don't go buy yourself a car that you think you're going to be happy. Don't go buy yourself a home. Like, maybe you should think about whether you're going to leave your spouse or not until summer comes, because you might feel very differently about him or her.
There are a lot more thinking errors
that
happen. I think a lot more black and white, a lot more assumptions,
based on maybe irritability or frustration
or sadness or that sluggish feeling or like I need something to change so that I feel better, right? And kind of that impulsivity that might show up. But that's not what's going to actually make you feel better.
Dang it. So the red Corvette that I'm going to go buy tomorrow probably shouldn't happen since it snowed yesterday.
Yeah. Convertibles.
Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Well, let's move on into, we just have a few more minutes left. Some things that you have noticed that really help. Some things that you really notice that help, that can get you going on the trackway of like helping some people that might be suffering with seasonal depression.
Something that I think can be really helpful is having a routine and a schedule that you're following through with, even if you don't feel like it. And within that routine and that schedule, putting things in there that you enjoy doing. So that it's not just like the things that you have to do, but also things that you enjoy doing, even if, you know, maybe you enjoy doing it a little bit less during this time of year when it's, you know, in the winter, still following through and doing those things anyways. That can help boost your mood and keep it at a more elevated place to continue to participate in those activities that usually bring you joy.
I think that's awesome. And don't forget that we also have doctors that are very educated and understand this very well. And there's antidepressants, or talking to them a little bit about changing some things in your life, such as eating habits, or, you know, getting vitamin D checked up, or hormones. They say that hormones can be a contributor or a problem. And so checking with your doctor, especially if you change like some of your eating habits, because that can be, you know, there can be some complications that come from that, especially when you're, they even talked about like a light, like using a light in your room to kind of like an alarm clock that kind of goes brighter as the morning comes, something that maybe produces some vitamin D, get yourself excited.
Yeah, they have like light boxes like that are specifically for light therapy, but they also, you can also get full spectrum light bulbs that you can just put in any lamp. And I actually got one because I grew up in California and I didn't, you know, I didn't really struggle with the winter blues in San Diego, California, because I did, you know, I got the sun all year. And then I moved to Russia my senior year of high school, and talk about winter blues. I really struggled there, because I probably went 4 months without seeing the sun.
Oh, wow.
Because I was in school when it was light outside. But full spectrum light bulbs, you can put in any lamp, and I've gotten one and used it the past couple of years, and it's been helpful for me.
Yeah.
So
they say that phase penetration with the light is the most important, which I thought was very fascinating. So stare at your light bulbs. Just kidding. Don't do that.
Stare at your light bulbs.
But traveling, making some of your fun travel arrangements during the wintertime, coming up with an activity that you enjoy to do that's only in the wintertime, or on days when it's kind of a little bit not as fun or exciting, that can be really helpful, because then it's things that you don't normally do. So you might be able to look forward to that thing, and it boosts that energy and gets those serotonin levels going and that dopamine rush, which we all love to have, right?
I like to snowboard. Oh. And if I don't get to go snowboarding in the winter is more terrible than it usually is.
Yes. That is true. That is true. So finding things that you love. I love sitting by a window and reading a book and drinking some hot cocoa while the snow's coming down. Or when it's a little bit more gloomy, which is kind of like, and I look forward to it. Like, in fact, yesterday I didn't get to do that. And I'm like, gosh, darn it. What are some things you like to do, Logan?
I just like watching like Christmas movies with all like the Christmas lights like around. I feel like that's always super fun. Or just like having something to look forward to. It's nice because my birthday's in January, so then I have something to look forward to, like fun plans or maybe a fun trip to do like for my birthday. So I think like having something you love to do, but having it where you can like look forward, or like something you can look forward to. Like I love the trip idea, like having something to look forward to, and just
plan it and schedule it.
Planning
on your
it.
calendar.
Bringing your loved ones, like making it an event that you're like consistently planning for, because then that makes you excited.
Right.
Yes. I thought this was interesting. It said melatonin is a sleep-related hormone. It also has been linked to SAD or SAD. The body naturally makes more melatonin when it's dark. So when the days are shorter and darker, more melatonin is made. And I thought that was fascinating. So light tends to be the key here. It also goes into talking about like carbohydrates. Like those are things that we want to eat, and it makes us feel better by eating them. But when we eat them, it actually... I saw online that it eventually converts to melatonin, which is fascinating, it converts to serotonin, then to melatonin. But I'm like, okay, there we go. Like some things maybe to consider. So if you love exercising and you go outside a lot, maybe consider finding a new thing that you enjoy exercising, which can be really helpful. I think this has been like so needed and so fun. I don't think a lot of us talk about our sadness and, some of the blues that can come during, when the lights are a little bit dimmer and it's a little bit colder outside, and having that, seasonal depression or that, the sad, like they talked about.
Well, and one more thing is that holidays are not always joyful for everyone.
It is true. It is true. So which is funny because that leads us into our next podcast that we're going to be having is actually on how to deal with your relatives during the holiday season.
Yes.
So we have a therapist that's coming to talk about that, which is so great because it is. In fact, I did an OQ, which is an actual paper that people fill out before they come and visit me, and it talks about all sorts of things on there, and we can actually watch the progress of it happening. And I did a bunch of my clients, and you would not believe it is up higher on dysfunction during the holiday season. And so there's a lot of things that contribute to holidays. So we're going to be doing a lot of podcasts on holidays, so stay tuned with us so you can watch these things. We're so excited to have you join us. But until then, we just want to end with a quick thing. Any final statements about seasonal depression?
Spring always comes.
Yeah. There's hope around the corner. Do not give up.
Yeah. Spring always comes.
Yep. Have some acceptance, radical acceptance. We don't want to accept the fact that winter's here, but maybe finding something fun that you can do could be really great. Anything from you, Logan?
No, just, keep pushing forward and chugging along.
Yes, find something you enjoy, something that you like. And thank you for joining us here at Therapist Table Talk. We're so happy that you joined us here today, and we hope to see you again next time. Thank you.
Bye.